Okay, well, joining us on the show now is Steven Downes from the Huddersfield Hub. He's on to chat to us about all things Huddersfield Town. Steve, it's really good to see you again. Mate, it feels like it's been ages. I think the last time we spoke, me, you and Chris were arguing about England, I believe.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, and how depressing that ended up.
Oh,
We were thinking. Well, I think me and Chris were very positive. You were slightly on the more negative. I think from what I remember back, but it is a bit of a haze after the old, Christmas with the certain amount of alcohol that I'm sure we've all drank.
absolutely. Absolutely. And looking at Huddersfield Town, before we kind of get you to walk us through how their festive period was and the FA Cup result of the weekend. Big signing in the door. Anthony Knockaert has joined on loan from Fulham. Obviously, vastly experienced at this level, really successful at this level, and above. You must be delighted.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I think it's a very decent signing. Hopefully, he comes in with the same sort of pedigree that he has done in English football beforehand, which will be, mean his signing will be even better. Obviously, now 31, slightly probably a little bit slower, but I'm sure his skills and his sort of magic on the ball, that doesn't disappear. And we need that sort of better link with the strikers that we have. We've got decent enough strikers to put the ball in the back of the net. Rhodes and Ward, they don't get the 20 goals that maybe you want, but they will get it. They will get us enough goals to get out of the situation that we're in. So it's just about that better link-up play, and Knockaert brings that for sure. I would expect him to walk straight into the team. But it'd be nice that it's not all really on Holmes' shoulders, whether he'll stay. Hopefully he does. I'd like to think that we won't lose any players unless it's sort of like kids out on loan or that sort of thing. So, yeah, exciting signing. Seems to be here for the right reasons. Hopefully that's the case. Was out in the Greek Super League, sort of basically out of the back and beyond of European football for the last sort of 6 months. So yeah, let's just see what happens with him. But yeah, exciting, and as well with Matt Loughton. An experienced head coming in at fullback, something that we desperately need in our sort of position. Maybe not the type of signing that you'd want to make if you were pushing for the playoffs, or that sort of thing. But certainly, if it's a relegation scrap, then why not? He knows what it takes to be at this level. He's played in relegation sides before, obviously at Burnley, so he knows the script of what you need to do. So I think that's a terrific signing as well. And yeah, both signings have been very positively received so far.
Did you expect Town to be this active this early in the window, or was it a case of needs must looking at the league position?
Well, I wouldn't say we've been massively active. It's only two signings, but it needed doing. It's a needs must, sort of job this season. We needed to get some more experienced heads in, which these two lads are. We needed a bit more sparkle in our sort of link-up play, which we've now got. And, a bit of organisation at the back. Hogg can't do it all. And obviously we've had Matty Pearson out, injured for most of the season, which is an experienced head as well. Tom Lees is still there, and Will Boyle, of course. So I'm pretty happy now with in terms of the experience we've got at the back. I'd like to see another sort of midfielder come in that's dynamic and likes to get on the ball and dictate play and that sort of thing. I know we've got Kasumu, but his injury record ain't great, and obviously he loves to pick up a bit of a yellow card. And so yeah, we don't really play with wingers now. Radoni has taken the left sort of channel, Holmes the right, and they switch over. And then you've got Thomas, obviously big things might be happening with Thomas going out. Would that be a loss? I don't really know. He's not really put, I wouldn't say effort, but he's not really, it's not happened for him this season. And he looks slightly less interested. I don't know whether that might come across as a bit harsh, but I feel Yeah, I just feel it wouldn't be the major loss of, say, the O'Brien and Toffs that was in the summer. So there's plenty, I'm sure, still to happen. I think we still need a couple of bodies in. But, the transfer window is what it is, isn't it? And January is particularly difficult to get people in. So we'll just see what the hierarchy at Town can do. I think Fotheringham has mentioned on a number of occasions that we don't have cash in the pocket to go out and get people, which Town fans have seemingly got used to, apart from our sparing time of, being able to spend 11, 12 million on Alex Pritchard, which was, you might as well have chucked, it's like me and you chucking 500 quid in a bin. So, we'll just see. But so far, in terms of signings, pretty decent.
Yeah, and if we can kind of rewind over that festive period then, because I think the last time we spoke on the show, I think it was probably after the Watford defeat, and Huddersfield were right at the bottom there. Maybe just before that, actually. And I was kind of thinking, what's going to happen over this Christmas period, with everything going on. But they did pick up a couple of great wins, didn't they? Back-to-back wins against Preston and Rotherham. And I thought, that's good then. I mean, how did you think Huddersfield did over that period and going into the new year?
Well, those two games, Preston and Rotherham, were so crucial. I mean, you look at it now and they put us back within touching distance. There was a starting of a gap to be built up. I think it was at something like 5-6 points. So we needed them wins. Not pretty performances, doesn't really matter. I'm sure if you go and watch Neil Warnock's documentary, when he says he's not bothered what part of the body anatomy it comes off, he's happy with the win. Well, that's kind of the same in our respect. If it comes off a backside in 93rd minute and it's a 1-0 win, who cares? Yeah. It's points on the board, and that's what it was against Preston and Rotherham. Rotherham were a great side, if I'm being honest. I think they've struggled under their new manager. Preston, of course, were doing all right. Now, whether they can keep that up and go for the charge for the playoffs, who knows? But they have been having a decent season. Obviously, we've played them 4 times. So what I'd like to say to all Preston fans is, can we not play you again this season? That'd be really good. I'm a bit bored of you now. Thanks. You're a nice club, but I'm a bit bored of you now. So yeah, good wins. Obviously, then we could have made it a triple on Taunt against Luton. But we failed in that respect. We played really well, actually. That was probably the best performance out of the 3, I would say. Luton were a tougher side, obviously. Again, one that's still sort of in that middle to upper bit of the table, thinking that they can do something this season. I felt that we sort of maybe deserved better than what we got on the day, because we did play well. So that was a disappointing loss. You came away thinking, if we had just made it 9 out of 9, that would have been perfect. What a festive period. But I have to be happy with 6 out of 9 points, and the table looks slightly better for us now. Wigan replacing us in the wooden spoon position. So that's always nice that you're not bottom. So it's just about building on that now and seeing where we can go. The FA Cup, I'm sure you'll touch on. I wasn't particularly bothered about it. I do love the FA Cup, but we seemingly go out the 3rd round quite often. I think in my lifetime, the 3rd round is like the barrier that we can never seem to cross. We've crossed it twice. I remember a 5th round tie with Man City with Harry Bunn scoring the first goal and we end up losing 5-1. And in the same season, we played Rochdale and Hef scored twice. And that's about as exciting as our FA Cup normally gets. So, yeah, I want that bothered.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? Because obviously my team Leeds as well, we have a similar curse or whatever you want to call it, where we just cannot seem to advance in cups at all. It's pretty annoying. I mean, looking at the league table now, Steve, as you say, Wigan at the bottom there, and you've got that game in hand on Blackpool and Rotherham above you, and just a couple points behind. I mean, it's Hull up next. I mean, Hull, obviously, they've had back-to-back wins themselves, unbeaten in a few games as well. How do you see that one going?
Yeah, Hull had a weird one. They had a terrific start to the season, set off like a Formula One car, and then stalled and had to go into the pits and replace their engine, the wheels, the chassis, the bumpers, basically the whole car, and now they've won 2-2 and started well again. So Hull's an interesting opposition. It's not going to be easy by any means. They have a decent squad at Hull, to be fair, this year. Some very good players. I feel that with the confidence that we've taken over the last sort of 3-4 weeks, why can't we go beat them? It's a massive game, to be quite honest. This January period will probably define where we are and whether we stay up or go down. So, yeah, I just feel that if we're on his day, we can beat a side like Hull. I really do. And same with Blackpool. I mean, Blackpool are just nothing, Blackpool are what Blackpool are now in the winter period, aren't they? Nobody wants to go to Blackpool. So, they're sort of like in their own doom and they sort of perk up about April, don't they, when people go, oh, Blackpool, so we'll go there this summer. So, that's a side again that I don't think are great. If we have a big January, I think that we'll stay up. If we don't pick up a number of points across this sort of next 4 to 6 week period, it's I think we can say hello to Portsmouth, Colchester, and the rest of our friends in League One that we haven't seen for quite a number of years.
Yeah, because looking at, you've got Coventry as well coming up. I know they've done okay, but yeah, it does feel like a crucial period. Fotheringham as well. How are you feeling about him at the moment then? Because I know before the winter break, the last time we spoke, it was kind of all up in the air again. The pressure was building. You thought, will they make a change? But where do you stand with how he's doing at the moment?
Yeah, well, Chris isn't here, isn't he? So he's banter boy in here to back him up, so I can say what I want.
You mean his agent?
His agent, yeah, his agent, yeah. I think I don't know. Do you know what? In the first 4 months, I've been able to work out every single town manager, whether I like them or what I think to them. With Fotheringham, I ain't got a clue. He's like thin air. You don't know whether to like him in some instances for his sort of down-to-earth mentality, his willingness to do anything to win. He's obviously, got some charisma about him in some senses of the word. But then you sit in the car and listen to the radio after the game, and you think, what are these comments that he's coming out with? We dominated the game against Preston. What? No, we definitely didn't. There were 20,000 of us, or whatever, 18,000 of us sat there all thinking the same thing. We didn't.
Is that manager bluff? You get some managers like that, don't we? I think it's almost like I don't know if they're trying to kind of build up this confidence or something and trying to, I don't know, it's strange. You do get, managers from time to time, and it does border on delusion, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, that word has been said a number of times on various fans forums that town fans will be very much aware of. No names mentioned here. But yeah, it does really, because I think he double bluffs himself at times. I think he probably goes home and probably thinks, why the hell did I say that? But, the other thing is, I love it how he comes out with sometimes these lines of, all his experience in Germany and under these great coaches. And I bet if you asked 50% of football, well, more, 75% of football fans in here, they'd never even heard of some of these lads in Germany who've worked under. But, so I don't know what to make of him. I think sometimes he's good. I think in games he's made, like the Rotherham game. The Rotherham game, he made very good substitutions, so he got that spot on. Against Preston, he took the young kid off who was going to get sent off because he made a rash tackle. Was bordering on a red card, so he took him off in the cup game. But then he makes other substitutions, and you just like for like, and you just think, what's the point? Where's that even come from? So yeah, the jury's. I think the jury will always sort of still be out until we get into next season. I think he's been hamstrung with obviously what he can do finances wise, but then again, he does rightly say that that's not really anything to do with him because he's in a head coach style position. So in terms of transfers, he's got no say in it whatsoever. Which I find interesting when the line "no" is then he's trotted out with, well, he has a say and we don't force players onto him. And okay.
I always wondered, when it started to cross over from them not being managers anymore and it was head coaches, and it's almost implied that the director of football is right. I'm picking these players, I'm signing you these players, right? You go make some magic from these lot that I'm giving you, rather than the old school, Fergie, signing who he wants to kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, under Wagner, it changed. We went to a head coach style, but he was still strong enough and created enough in those sort of early months to have more of a say, So he brought the style, he brought the German lads over, he implemented the whole ethos of the club. And Stuart Webber, who they're both working together now at Norwich, and I know that we've had Brexit, so it's slightly different to get able to get players in, but there will be a similar thing happen at Norwich. Yes, he's the head coach inverted commas, but really he's a manager. And then you've got people like Fotheringham, who were just simply coaches, and that's it. Their job is to fix the jigsaw together with whatever the head of football operations or CEO or director of football puts in their path. I don't like that model. I prefer a manager. To me, how can you be head of a club and the forehead of a club and not be able to decide the lads that you want in through the door that you're going to work with? The head of football operations or the director of football doesn't work with them every day on the training ground. It's you. So, how can you not have a say in which lads do and don't come in?
Is it a lot of kind of like profile where the manager will say, okay, I need a left winger who's tricky and who can beat a man for pace. And then the recruitment team will be like, right, okay, we found these 50 players that fit your profile, and they go out and pick him. And then it goes back to the coach and they, right, there we go. We've got your tricky winger. And then it ends up not like, that's what it seems to be sometimes.
Yeah, well, you look at even Klopp at Liverpool, they have a transfer committee, and at Town it's very similar. So, Klopp doesn't have overall, he will. If Klopp says he wants a left back, they go out and get a left back, don't they? They don't sit and ponder and go, well, you've won as a Premier League, you've won as a European Championships, Champions League, sorry, but you're not going to have your left back. I'm pretty sure that they don't say that to him, but at Town they probably will. So, whether Fotheringham wants a position or not, that won't be his choice. It'll literally be, right, these players are available. We've looked at these players over a number of weeks, months, or we've had an agent ring and say that this player's available. He's within our budget, and so we're having him, and that's it. And you've got to make him fit. And that's where I disagree with the process of what an head coach is. And I know that's coming in more and more, but a lot of these directors of football, particularly at smaller clubs, you look at like Salford City, or I'm not saying that they have one, but you look at these clubs, and you just think, in what world does Forest Green need a director of football? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something like that. I just feel like it works better with a manager, and you've got a squad of players that are all dying for the manager, a bit like Neil Warnock-esque. I'm not saying his football's pretty, or this day and age, it's that is the football that's needed. But that is the process that I think should happen behind the scenes, and it doesn't at Town, and that's why ultimately, it happened with who did it happen with? Sievert. It happened with Sievert a couple of years ago. So what happened with Sievert was he had players that were still from Chris Powell's days.
Yeah.
So you're like 4 managers down the line.
Yeah.
And it's like, so he's got to deal with, Chris Powell players. He's got to deal with Wagner players. He's got to deal with it, and so it's a microcosm of, a mishmash squad, and that's where you end up with problems.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like similar to what we're in now, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to Google now the Forest Green director of football. I want to see who that guy is now.
Imagine if I don't know if they have one, but imagine
He's
if they
going to reply. We'll give him a right to reply.
Yeah, give him a right to reply. Yeah. I'm
Brilliant.
sure he'll be listening into this podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely, 100%.
I mean, if the director of Halifax Town wants to come on, director of football at Halifax Town, then you're more than welcome to come back and tell us what your job role is.
Well, I've got a chat to Tom Scargill after yourself, so I'll have a word with him. I'll say, have they got a director of football there? Who's that? Because it's time to be done.
Ask him what their transfer committee's like.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, an absolute pleasure to chat to you. Good to catch up. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you want to see more of Steve and his opinions on Huddersfield, please do subscribe. But Steve, till next week, catch you later, mate. Hopefully we'll be on the back of a Terriers win. We'll wait and see.
Yep.